Now to your health. April is National Stress Awareness Month, a good chance to maybe check in. Recent studies show that Oregon ranks among the worst states in the nation when it comes to student mental health. Experts are calling this alarming surge a crisis.
Well, the issue became worse during and after the pandemic, leaving parents and educators scrambling with this new challenge. So joining us live to tell us what's behind this youth mental health crisis is Jeremy Glauser, CEO of Eluma, an online therapy provider. Good morning. Appreciate the time.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's great to be with you.
Absolutely. Let's talk about how the pandemic played a role in this and it really exacerbating the surge in youth mental health issues.
It really has, and it's unfortunate that Oregon ranks so lowly. But here in Oregon, we faced some of the more severe isolations, lockdowns, lack of human connection, and unfortunately, those lead to the isolation and hopelessness that youth feel and they internalize in the forms of depression, anxiety, and other post-traumatic stress disorders or borderline personality disorders.
I think it's interesting for young adults, even some older adults. We might think, well, gosh, the pandemic feels like so long ago, relatively speaking, several years ago that we were dealing with the worst of it. Haven't we moved on? Aren't we doing better? But talk a little bit about some of the long-term effects that we've seen in recent years and how long stress and mental health issues can kind of stay with somebody, even though you think you're ready to just get over it.
That's a really good point. I hope we've moved on from the pandemic. At least I know that I'm trying to, but the symptoms have lingered, and that's for certain. But the pandemic didn't create this issue. It just made us more aware of the mental health crisis that our youth are facing. And one of the things that we need to do as adults is we need to display good practices. And one of the things that we face in schools is a lack of resources. We face a lack of counselors. There are systemic issues. There's lack of funding. The counselor to student ratio is recommended by Mental Health America to be 1 to 250 students or individuals. But here in Oregon, we face one counselor to every 374. And that presents us with a real challenge.
So what are the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I live south of Portland, and our kids go to elementary school right around the corner from our home. And one of our daughters needs this service, needs counseling. And we called up the school and talked with the counselor. She was very pleasant, a wonderful lady. Unfortunately, she just can't see our daughter. As a matter of fact, she said, look, I just can't meet with students one-on-one. And that's a challenge when you can't get the kind of resources that you need to address these lingering issues.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one counselor and 374 students. That's a tough ratio. So what are some solutions to this? Is it as easy as saying, well, we need to hire more counselors? How do we work towards fixing this problem?
That's a good question, Travis. I don't think it's super simple. It is going to take a concerted effort, partnering with schools, communities, private organizations, parents, and caregivers. And one of the most important things that we can do as individuals and as parents is get to know what our students are being taught in schools, understand how they're approaching mental health, and reinforce that at home. And as parents, it's important for us to be curious about our kids' lives, to listen, to understand. And most importantly, to not judge when we do hear something that raises a hair on the back of our head, but to accept them so that they know you're a safe place, that they can find solace there, and that we can support them in their need.
Real quick, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about your company, Eluma, and some of the resources that might be available, because I'm sure parents might be feeling like, gosh, I don't know that I'm the best person to be the one having some of those conversations. I don't know where to start.
Emily, I feel the same way sometimes. Eluma is a provider that partners with schools to offer preventative and proactive mental health interventions as well as therapeutic interventions. Because, Travis, like you mentioned, there is a shortage of counselors. So we come in and we do a needs assessment with the school to identify gaps that the schools have, because they're doing their best with what they have. And we're bringing in expertise, programs, screening tools, curriculum, but also we're bringing in the professionals who can help. And so in a school, there are tiered approaches. where in a school, tier 1 means universal access for all kids. All kids should be getting a form of curriculum that helps them understand internalized behaviors like anxiety and depression. Tier 2 is a targeted support where counselors start to come in and do group therapy. And then the tier 3 is more intensive. And our hope in schools is to ensure all kids get universal support or can return there. And parents can participate and understand what we're doing within the school. So as a parent, talk to your school and see if they have Eluma. And we would love to create this partnership to help where we can.
Yeah, well, Jeremy, appreciate the time. It's an important issue to talk about. So I'm glad we had the time this morning.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time.
Of course. All right, take care. And to learn more about the work that Eluma does to help with students and their mental health, go to that website. That's eluma.com.
Yeah, it's tough to think about one counselor for almost 400
That's a lot.
students.
That's a lot.
It's tough to have